Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell her the truth about silver. Today is Monday the 22nd of November 2021 and we're publishing our daily gold and silver update, news and economic data and forecast. Before we look at what's happened today, which has not been good for gold and silver, we have to admit, a quick shout out to a video we produced yesterday, which was our weekly update, and it's entitled Gold and Silver Weekly Review and Next Week's Forecast, and we've placed a link to that in the description box below. But let's take a look at now what's been happening to gold and silver prices today. Welcome to Illuminati Silver. It's Monday the 22nd of November 2021 at 19:51. In other words, it is 10 to 8 at night. Our apologies, but the next 2 weeks we will not have a morning update. The reason being is that I have been called away to assist in a major banking meeting or quasi-bankers conference, and I have to be away from home at 7 a.m. and travel to the city. Not something I like to do in my quasi-retirement, but something that has to be done because there are a number of quite weighty issues being covered over the next 2 weeks in the banking fraternity. And I've been asked as an advisor to participate. So my apologies. I will only just about manage to do an update, but it'll be unfortunately later in the evening around this time. But nevertheless, please keep tuning in because the information is still relevant. And we can see that today, Merkel says COVID spike worse than anything we've seen. And we'll have a look at that in a second. Also, Barbados is to drop Queen Elizabeth II as head of state. And yields rise on Powell nomination. And this latter part, has had a most profound effect on the price of gold and silver. But first, let's have a quick look at Barbados, set to cut the umbilical cord with the United Kingdom. For the first time in 3 decades, Queen Elizabeth II is losing one of her many realms. On November the 30th, Barbados in the Eastern Caribbean will be removing the British monarch as its head of state and installing Governor-General Sandra Mason as president. Now, for many people, particularly those outside the UK, this may not even be an issue. But those in the UK it is, because although we fully accept the UK has lost its empire, it did have a commonwealth which bound it strongly together. Germany. Merkel says COVID spike worse than anything we've seen, and this is so important, bearing in mind the Austrian lockdowns and compulsory vaccinations that have been announced. We said on the weekend that Germany has messaged to us, not to us personally, but to us generally, that they are faring little better. And Chancellor Angela Merkel has said the latest surge in COVID-19 infections is worse than anything Germany has experienced so far, and called for tighter restrictions to help check the spread. Merkel told officials from a Christian Democratic Party on Monday the situation is highly dramatic and warned that some hospitals would soon be overwhelmed unless the fourth wave of the pandemic is broken. Now, what we will say is the situation in the UK is actually worse than that in Germany, and we are expecting, frankly, although it hasn't been announced, lockdowns over December. And I have it on good authority from some quite senior police officers that this is being prepared now. We'll wait and see if it actually goes ahead and whether the politicians can stomach the sort of reaction that further lockdowns will engender. But if other countries of the world are participating, then we can guess what's going to happen here. But what's more important for us at this precise moment in time from an economic point of view, yields rise on Powell's nomination. Treasury yields rose following President Joe Biden's nomination of Jerome Powell for a second term at the head of the Federal Reserve. A slump in tech shares cut into broader stock gains. 2- and 5-year Treasury yields climbed to session highs. The US swaps market is now pricing in a full 25 basis point rate hike into the June Fed meeting, with a second increase seen for next November. The dollar climbed while gold slumped more than 2% and oil gained as well, despite a rising dollar. The S&P 500 ticked higher, and we'll take a look at that in a second. It was mooted that a more dovish chairman would be appointed instead of Jerome Powell, and President Joe Biden's nomination has been a little bit of a surprise for many. We have to admit, whilst we thought there was an outside possibility of Powell going, quite frankly, he seemed to fit in broadly with Joe Biden's policies, and at the same time have managed to convince markets generally that there will be tightening, albeit in the future. Well, we've seen what's happened. The markets have now decided all the softness will have gone. This guy is going to be tough. We don't think he is, frankly, but they will argue that. And this is why we have seen the dollar index spike again today and is now at 96.511. We've said over the weekend, don't be surprised if it goes to 97 in the next week or two. Let's see if that happens. Energy prices, actually, despite the strong dollar, have edged up, but they're still now, both WTI crude and Brent crude are below $80, which, as we said on Saturday, is good news. Equity markets. Well, first of all, overnight, the Asia-Pacific markets were broadly mixed. The UK and European markets are now closed, with the Euro Stoxx index down 17 points, the FTSE up 31, and the DAX down 44, and the CAC down 7. And at the moment, we still haven't got a close yet on Wall Street, but at the moment, we've got the Dow Jones up 267, the S&P up 23, but the Nasdaq down 28. Now, on the economic news front, the Chicago Fed national activity for October came in at 0.76, which was considerably more positive than what happened in September, and existing home sales were also higher than expectations. Now, tomorrow we have the more important market, manufacturing and services, albeit flash PMIs, but it's Wednesday which will be the real determinant of economic news and how that may affect prices, although it does look very much as if gold and silver have already reacted well in advance. And we can see that gold is down 2.26%, $41 in fact today, at $1,804. If it goes below 1,800, then it's going to target 1,750, and it could be a short-term end of the bull run, though we don't think we're quite there yet. However, silver took an also considerable knock, and bearing in mind it didn't perform that well last week, and silver's down 44 cents at $24.17. That's 1.8% fall, and you can see how it's fallen off in our time from 2 o'clock today, which was just after the announcement of Jerome Powell. Cryptocurrency markets not faring any better today, down 5% in fact, but we still have a $2.5 trillion market cap. That's it for now. Apologies, it's going to be every evening, but do tune in. Do make sure you've pressed the bell sign and subscribe so you're notified as and when we've published these. Please give us a thumbs up. And until tomorrow, have a great evening. Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.